What is a life hack that seems fake but is a true lifesaver? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience. Story 1. If you stand up too fast and your head starts to spin, /rush/blackout, tighten your abs as hard as you can, and it'll help drastically reduce the head rush. You can also do it preemptively to help stop it before it even happens. Story 2. If you have funky armpits and need to fix them fast, use hand sanitizer. I figured this out years ago when I remembered that the smell comes from bacteria reactions, which antibacterial hand gel kills stone dead. Instant results, and the medical smell lasts only a minute. Don't do this routinely though, as it's delicate skin. Story 3. Use shaving cream as anti-fog. I used it on the inside of my motorcycle visor. Smear it on, let it dry, then rinse off and dry. It also works for bathroom mirrors. You can use it on a small spot so you can still see when you get out of the shower. Story 4. True lifesaver. If you are ever attacked by a dog, push your forearm into the bite. This pries the jaws apart and prevents them from clamping down. If a dog is attacking you, the best thing you can do is offer your forearm, push as far back as possible, and then grab the dog by the scruff of its neck with your other hand to hold it. The dog is now functionally muzzled, and you have control of its head. The sooner and harder you push into the bite, the less damage the bite will do. Story 5. When it is icy or going through somewhere wet, always have both hands free to break any fall. When working with a job you know has safety hazard, always be on the lookout. My coworker broke her wrist because someone forgot to put the pallet in the correction location. Sometimes people are out to get you or maybe not even thinking of you or your safety, so always got to have your own back. Story 6. That rubbing alcohol removes chewing gum. I'd go through a 20-layer deep marketing funnel to get to that tip because it really does work. Also, wow, thank you for all of the awards, nice Redditors. I completely forgot I left this comment and came back and my notifications had blown up. Story 7. Put your onion in the freezer for 10 minutes before chopping it. It freezes the juices just enough to slow down the process of it turning into a gas, giving you a few minutes to chop the onion without tears. I learned this tip from a kid's science show years ago, and I haven't had to deal with onion tears since. So many people don't believe me, and then are genuinely surprised when it works. Story 8. The cheapest, most effective, and safest insecticide against roaches, especially those huge water bug roaches that we have in the South, is a spray bottle of mostly water with just a little liquid dish soap in it. Shake the bottle and get the water a little foamy, then spray the roaches. They will run, scrabble, and attempt escape, of course, but they will die. The soap film suffocates them faster than any chemicals will. A friend told me about this, and I thought she was nuts, but I tried it, and it works amazingly well. Plus, it's very easy to clean up and safe around food. Not that you want to spray soapy water on your food. Story 9. From the amazing book, The Gift of Fear, by Gavin DeBecker. A woman alone who needs assistance is actually far better off choosing someone and asking for help, as opposed to waiting for an unsolicited approach. The person you choose is nowhere near as likely to bring you hazard as is the person who chooses you. Story 10. During pollen season, rinse your hair before bed. Otherwise, you're just depositing pollen on your pillowcase every night and then rolling your face in it all night. And then multiply that by how many nights you use the same pillowcase. Story 11. Eating candied ginger helps with nausea. Any ginger really, but candied ginger is much better tasting. Edit. I see this really got people talking. Glad to see other remedies are helping and the community giving each other tips. Thanks for the award and be excellent to each other. Second edit. Chronic nausea is a different animal, and I hope those suffering with it get medical help. Ginger isn't a cure for all nausea, and lots of things can cause it, such as vertigo, which is an obnoxious thing to have, and ginger won't help. I have that, and it's no fun. I use ginger for migraine nausea myself, which I also get. Story 12. Counting really slowly with the goal of reaching 150 is a decent way to fall asleep. If you have any thoughts during it, just let them play out. And if you forget what number you're on, just go from what you last remember. If you make any major movements, just start again. The goal is to force your brain into slowing down and not having any jerky motions or thoughts, and eventually reaching such a level of carelessness that you eventually fall asleep without realizing. Helped me quite a few times, especially with rain sounds. Hope it helps some of you too. Story 13. If your car is overheating, turn your heat on full blast. When you turn the heat on in a car, it pulls heat from the engine into the cab, thus cooling the engine. I was taught this in driver's ed 23 years ago. When in high school my buddy's car would run really hot, I told him to turn the heat on. He wouldn't. I had to convince him it was true by saying I would pay for resulting damage if the temp didn't go down. It was the winter time, And that heat was so dang hot we had to roll the windows down. But we watched his engine temp drop. I don't believe it's especially uncommon, but if no one ever told you, it would seem counterintuitive. Edit. You go to sleep and tell your wife, hey, I made a comment and it has like 400 likes. Then you wake up and your 6Y lifetime karma has doubled. I do hope it helps someone somewhere sometime that didn't already know about it. A few things as a response to some common comments. This doesn't work on electric cars. Depending on your mechanical issue, it may not work at all. It has worked for a lot of people with evidence in this chain. Those junior to me learned this from Dairy of a Wimpy Kid. Those around my generation learned this from Hank Hill. If I can have a millionth of the influence of Hank Hill, I'll take it. Also, King of the Hill reboot news. If you want to know how it works better than me saying it pulls heat off the engine, ask your mechanic or look for those that explained it better in this thread. This is not a permanent fix. This is to get you somewhere to safely address this issue. If you can't afford repairs and do this long term, you are gambling. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. You read all these comments? I hope you have a great day. Story 14, makeup remover on deodorant stains. Vixella randomly brought it up while talking to chat on Twitch. My husband has a lot of t-shirts with white stained armpits, so I gave it a shot. It worked. Edit. I should probably clarify that I used remover wipes, just a generic store brand pack of cleansing towelettes, on my husband's old antiperspirant stained t-shirts from his bachelor days. He switched to a non-staining deodorant a while back. There are a lot of other helpful hacks for this issue added in replies. I'll have to try denim or dryer sheets next time I find a stain to try it on. =. Story 15. Smell is closely associated with memory. If you're studying for an exam, buy an odd scented eraser, like pickle scent. Every time you try to memorize something, take a sniff. Take that eraser to the test and sniff it when you're having trouble remembering an answer. Story 16. You start to cough while eating or drinking. Essentially the went down the wrong pipe. Immediately lift both your arms up in the air and keep them held up for a few seconds. The act opens your airways and will allow you to catch your breath. Also helps food or drink travel downward. My Mile taught us this, and it's now second nature. Edit change choke to cough. The Heimlich maneuver should be used if someone has food stuck. Story 17. Use a wet knife to chop onions. It reduces tears if you have sensitive eyes. It really works. I could barely make it through chopping half an onion without needing multiple breaks before I tried this. Saw it on Life Pro Tips. Just keep the faucet running and dip your knife under periodically while chopping. I still get a little reaction, but nowhere near as bad. Story 18. If you have a dishwasher, I'm sure you're familiar with the vague annoyance of pools of water being left on your dishes. After the cycle is done, grab a clean towel and hang it flat on the inside of the door and close gently. Don't slam it. It's okay to be open a crack still. And wait about 30 minutes. Your dishes will be completely dry. Edit. You should do this as close to the finish of the cycle as possible when it's still warm inside. Story 19. Might be really esoteric, but when I moved out on my own, I took the modem and internet service provider with me, but the account stayed under my mother's name. I thought it'd be fine, but last year they jacked up the bill from $70 to over $100. So I canceled the account, opened one in my name with the same ISP, and got a shiny new customer package that was the exact same internet speed for $50. I felt so big-brained when it worked. Story 21 that I saw recently. If you're painting using painter's tape, doing corners or stripes, etc., first paint along the edges with the color that's under the tape. Let it dry a little so it won't mix. Then put your two color in. It stops the bleed effect because that won't be visible and now the tape is sealed. Egg. If you're putting a red stripe on a gray wall, put your 2 bits of tape down, then paint the inner edges with gray, then paint with red. When you remove it, the bleed will be gray on gray, and your red stripe will be crisp. Story 21. Keep the instructions for any IKEA furniture you get. They are also online. Then if you have to move, you can disassemble them and save a lot of moving expenses due to the reduced space requirement. A large number of college textbooks have free PDF versions or are much cheaper as digital books. It's also worth buddying up to your upperclassmen and try to borrow their old books. Story 22. Use a pop socket to hang jewelry on a flat wall bed frame. I use it to hang my necklace up every night. Sounds stupid, but it's right next to where I sleep, so if I forget to take it off, I don't have to get up, and it hasn't tangled once since I started using it. Saves the hassle of untangling a tiny chain. Plus, you can't get cool-looking ones to match whatever, and depending on the quality, they could last years. Mine fell off my phone case, so I stuck it to my bed frame over a year ago. I've had to remove it once, still stuck there, still does its job. Story 23. When using the on-ramp to a freeway interstate and the posted speed limit is 65, get up to 65 before actually merging into traffic. Slow merging assholes cause the people coming up on you to slow down and change lanes, which increases the chances of accidents and traffic congestion. Story 24. Want to turn a room temperature beer ice cold fast? Wrap a wet paper towel around it and stick it in the freezer, and it will be ready in about 7-10 minutes. Got a whole cooler full of warm beer? Add 1 cup of salt for every 3 pounds of ice and your beer will be cold in 2-3 minutes. Story 25. If you can't open a jar with a screw-off lid, hit the top edge of the lid with the back of a spoon. Go the whole way around whacking it and then try to open it. It'll open super easy. No more having to find someone to open the jar or hurting your hands trying to get the lid off. Story 26. Super late, but I feel like this one trick has been spread so much that I'd like to present an alternative. If you forget someone's name and you've been introduced already, have spent some time talking and perhaps you've even connected a bit, don't say, "What's your name?" No, your last name. Do say, "I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Can you tell me again?" Nobody asks you what your name is, expecting you to say your last name, unless you're in organized sports or in jail. And if you are sincere, a quick apology and asking them again is totally okay. We all forget names sometimes. Some of us, lighting fast and as consistent as a Tuesday morning. But it's okay to ask again. Story 27. You probably don't have cable, but I bet your parents do. Cable subscriptions come with access to the apps for individual channels. All you need to do to access said channels is click the Login with My Subscriber button. It will come up with a website and code number. Text your parents the website while they're at home. It must be connected to Wi-Fi, and tell them to enter the code in the box that pops up. That's it. Your device should stay logged in, and you can watch all the shows on this channel. This works great for all sorts of things. It's how we watch football games. My kids watch shows on Nick Jr. and so on. I still use my subscription services way more, but it prevents the need for additional ones to watch certain stuff. Story 28. If you're trying to save someone from drowning and they're pulling you down too, punch them in the nose. It's actually taught to lifeguards as a way of stopping the person killing themselves and the rescuer due to panic. Edit. It seems I have propagated an urban myth. See the comments below mine for the proper technique lifeguards use. That said, as a mediocre swimmer, I'd probably end up trying the punch if I ever found myself in that situation. Story 29. If you eat something really spicy and milk isn't available, eat ice cream. If you eat something really spicy and milk and ice cream isn't available, eat some yogurt. If you eat something really spicy and milk, ice cream and yogurt isn't available, eat some fruit. I think sugary treat also does a really good job in cooling down your mouth. Plus, fruit has good sugar and high in fiber, so wins all around. If you eat something spicy and you don't have milk, ice cream, yogurt, fruit, or any sugary products, and all that you have is the spicy food, sit there and think about your life choices. Story 30. Learn to distance yourself from your thoughts. Realize that at any given moment, you can become aware of what you're thinking about. Just ask yourself internally, what am I thinking about right now? By doing so, you see that you are not your thoughts. You are aware of your thoughts. Therefore, you are not your mind, the thing doing the thinking. You are the thing that is aware of your mind. That is, you are aware of your thinking. You aren't defined by your thinking. This can really help with things like body image issues, insecurities, anxiety. It's the essence of meditation. The expression goes, meditation, it's not what you think. And it's true. It's not about what you think. It's being aware that you're thinking. A lot of people say, I think, but they don't say, I beat my heart. They say, my heart beats. The beating of the heart happens whether or not we want it to. Same thing with thinking. It's going on, whether or not we want it to. Become aware of that. You aren't defined by your thoughts. Story 31. If you have a contract with a cable TV provider, they almost definitely have a website to whom you can complain. Every time you have even a moment of inconvenience that is attributable to them, go onto the website and complain. Be polite, be civil, but act as though this is really an issue. For example, the on-demand options screw up, or your internet goes down for 15 minutes. Get online and explain. I work from home, and I need a stable connection. I'm self-employed, and this is harming my business. If you can't guarantee me a constant connection, I'm going to have to explore other options. For the on-demand issue, my time is at a premium. If I can't access entertainment options when they're convenient to me, I don't need cable. Again, be polite but very firm that this is an issue that's frustrating you. The key here is that you're dealing with the corporate office and not your local branch. They all can override your local bill. Inevitably, they will give you $10.30 off because you're dealing with someone whose whole job is to retain customers. They also are in a better mood than the people at your local office because they're paid far better and have the freedom to give the discounts willy-nilly, whereas the local staff don't have that option. They're being monitored and or penalized for too many discounts as a way to them out of raises and or promotions due to poor performance. I seriously got a discount at least once per month without ever having to actually speak to anyone. From Comcast, no less, who are rather notorious for being. Yes, you have to spend a little bit of time doing it, but 40 minutes for $20 is a pretty decent use of your time. Story 32. There's such a thing called car body language when driving. If you watch, you'll notice people will move slightly in their lanes about 5 to 10 seconds before they switch lanes. They will move in the direction they intend to go, and as far as I can, this is not a conscious decision. Story 33. If you have a greasy Tupperware that's hard to clean, chili, taco meat, spaghetti, etc., you can fill it up about 1/4 of the way with warm water, put some dish soap in it, put a single sheet of paper towel, if half sheets use two, put the lid on, and shake vigorously. When done, throw away the paper towels and rinse out the soap suds. The inside of the Tupperware will be like brand new. I thought it was crazy AF when I first saw it. Do it every time now, LOA. Story 34. Tired of figuring out what to make for dinner every night of your adult life? Tired of spending extra time at the store going, okay, what do I want to eat this week and what all do I need for it? Write down a month or so worth of meals, not the ingredients, just what the meal is, and put them in a bowl. Pick and random. There's your meals. Color code them if you want, so you aren't always eating beef or just chicken or just fish. Put your choices in a separate bowl, and when the first one is empty, start over. Seriously saves a ton of time and brainstorming to just pick it from a hat. Story 35. When all else fails, head to the woods. I grew up in the woods and have lived in cities since college. But every time I'm overwhelmed, anxious, or frustrated about life, I go camping. You'll soon find what's truly important and what really matters. It's different for everyone, but for me, it's a constant reminder that my job, or money, providing I can pay the bills, technology, and the constant connectivity to nearly everything and everyone doesn't matter. Just slow down and find what's truly important to you. Story 36. If you have a bad sunburn, take a cool, not cold shower as soon as you can. Think about the way you let meat rest after cooking it and how it cooks a little more because of retained heat. That's your skin. A cool shower helps halt your sunburn from worsening, and the moisture is good for it too. Then slather lotion on like you can't get enough. Repeat frequently till your burn is better. Even better, up your sunblock game and don't get a burn in the first place. Story 37. If you're in too much of a hurry to iron something, throw it in the dryer with a damp tea towel and a couple of dryer sheets. 20 minutes later, wrinkle-free and great-smelling clothing. Also, for period blood on your knickers, soak in a bit of Nature's Miracle, a pet stain and odor remover that contains enzymes. Even old bloodstains come out. Story 38. If you have trouble keeping your things organized, create designated spaces for them that are close to where they end up when you're at your laziest. I hang my masks on my front doorknob because if I didn't, I would either forget to put one on before I left or they would end up in random places in my house and I'd lose them. So their designated place that they belong is on the doorknob. And my keys stay in my purse, BC. I'm 100% more likely to forget to put them in the purse than I am to forget my purse. Story 39. Use a hip hugger laundry basket when transporting groceries. I mean, when you're in the store, get what you need and then skip on the plastic bags, except your produce. Put it all back in your cart and into your hip hugger, and then once you get home, it takes like 1-2 trips to bring all your groceries in. Story 40. Put 20% of every paycheck or money earned into an interest savings or investment account and don't touch it for 5 years. Just pay into it every week or time you get paid. You are paying yourself first before paying bills or buying needed items for self or others. Gives you pride in your job and your work. Never feel obligated to stay at a job that is sucking you dry and leaving you depressed and angry at life. Walk away, quit, and find a job that you are passionate about, something that brings you happiness. Do not let others control your choices. You are in control of your fate. Follow your happiness and find your spiritual awakening that true happiness brings. Good things will come to those who follow their dreams. You are important. You are loved. You are meant to be here. You are beautiful. You are extraordinary. Be you. Desiderata. Seize the day. Carpe diem. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Strive to find your own voice. Seize the day. Tilda Robin Williams. Story 41. YMMV, but if you have allergies to imitation jewelry or stuff not made out of gold, silver, and stainless steel, especially earrings, stick them into garlic cloves for a couple days and then you can wear them without any issues. My mom and I do this for new earrings and it has never failed us. I even passed it on to some friends and they do the same with excellent results. I know this is some swamp hedge witch, but in my anecdotal evidence, it works like a charm. Story 42. If you can afford it, take a staycation for a week in the spring-summer for the sole purpose of quitting smoking. Fill that week with outdoor activity and work in the sunlight. I didn't take a vacation, but luckily got to WFH for pandemic. I smoked for 17 years, almost a pack a day. Every 2 hours, I would get up jonesing and go do 15 minutes of yard work, mostly just pulling weeds by hand so I didn't finish too fast, and quit smoking cold turkey. Day 3 and 4 were horrible, but I was tired enough to sleep early, always hydrating and sweating those toxins out all day long. On day 6, I felt amazing. I have done Chantix twice and started back both times. I did the patch and the gum. But after cold turkey, I don't care at all or miss the cigarettes. Coming up on a year free. A year after quitting, and I go to the gym 5 times a week for fun. My penis is bigger, best side effect. I saved $3,000 for a trip to Chicago, and food tastes amazing. Story 43. The small numbers on the top of an average house key correspond to the pin depth of that key. If you take a photo of those numbers to a lock shop, they can make you a spare without having to have the original. The cost of a key is $2 versus a locksmith during a lockout, which can be $200 plus. I have saved thousands of dollars this way because I constantly am losing my keys. Story 44. Before you get into an emotional or intense situation, stop, take a couple of breaths, and try to look at the situation as clearly as possible. I was raised in an abusive household where I never learned to regulate my emotions. That made me very quick to anger and frustration. I've been trying for a while to be more calm and doing well. The thing that helped me a lot is kind of weird, but I figure if it helped me, it could help someone else. I started watching videos on mountain climbing disasters and plane disasters. I was browsing YouTube and I stumbled on it, watching people who had to really regulate their emotions and evaluate a difficult and stressful situation. It doesn't take emotions out of it. It gives me a moment to center myself and evaluate the situation before I say something out of ignorance. Story 45. If your country has a second language and you're calling for what is normally outsourced support, hit option 2 for that second language. Chances are you'll be transferred to a local support agent who actually speaks the primary language in your country. Canadians choose 2 for Francais and you'll get a bilingual agent in like Montreal instead of an English speaker in some random outsourced country. Story 46. Pre-COVID, I worked in corporate America, where meetings are frequent, long, and boring. It is okay to stand up if it means avoiding falling asleep, or bring a snack that takes a long time to eat and are not interruptive, such as grapes, cherry tomatoes, etc. And do not feel bad about getting up to use the bathroom to benefit from the walk to and from. Plus, once you do it, others will follow and the host will likely initiate a break. Teodar, do what it takes to not be the person who is sleeping during a meeting, class, etc. Story 47. Help myself sleep. I use a trick my dad learned in military, and I used in the military to great effect. Focus on your feet and relax them. Imagine they feel heavy and hard to move. Slowly do that all the way up your body, with your eyes closed, thinking in your head that this body part is heavy and relaxed. After 2 or 3 times, should be able to go right to sleep. Story 48. Shaving cream on the inside of glass plastic to avoid fogging up from humidity. This is vital for those motorcycling with full face helmets, and I learned it from Chris Fix on YouTube. Can of shaving cream is like $5 compared to a bottle of defogger for like $20. Shaving cream lasts just as long and is really just as effective. Directions. Clean visor normally. Then apply a dollop of shaving cream and just wipe it in. Paper towels work fine since it absorbs some, but just work it in till the visor is clear. Then use a clean paper towel or microfiber cloth and buff it out until all the streaks are gone. Chris Fix uses it on the inside of automotive glass for his cars too, so go crazy with it. Story 49. Politely ask your customer service rep of any organization who is levying a fee against you for service, convenience, penalty, etc. if there is any way they can waive the fee for you. Don't explain or excuse, just politely ask and wait for their response. Most of the time, they can and will. Story 50. If a coworker or anyone else is making jokes at your expense or being passive-aggressive in a group setting, but you don't want to directly call them out, force them to either explain the joke or repeat themselves. Say, sorry, what did you say? Didn't hear you, or sorry, I don't get it. The joke gets a lot less funny when they're forced to explain it with everyone's eyes on them, and they get a lot less bold in what they say if they have to repeat it in the spotlight. Story 51. If you notice the engine temperature gauge on your dash creeping towards the red, the best thing to do is turn the heat on full blast, open walk the windows, and turn off, unplug every unnecessary electrical device. The heat in almost every car comes from a small radiator called the heater core. It takes the heat from the engine coolant and transfers it to the cabin. The more air is pulled past it, the more it cools the coolant. thus slightly but perceptively mitigating an overheating situation. Using the vehicles or auxiliary electrical devices makes the engine work harder, increasing the amount of heat transferred to the coolant. Turning these devices off prevents the engine from unnecessarily heating up more. This will not prevent your engine from overheating, but it's your best shot at buying some time if you're, say, on the highway and can't safely pull over immediately. Oh, turn your vehicle of ASAP if that gauge touches the red zone, then engine is likely shagged and will cost you a ton of money you don't have to get out fixed. Check your coolant level regularly. Story 52. A bread tab on your thongs for a blowout. I was in far north Queensland a few years ago wearing thongs, had a blowout in a town with nothing but a tourist center and a milk bar, bought a loaf of bread and used the bread tab to keep the thongs in one piece for the day while I could get back to civilization and buy a new pair. I laugh about it now, but this was a 40-plus degree day Celsius, and the cement footpaths were holding all that heat in. Story 53. Sniffing rubbing alcohol can temporarily get rid of really bad nausea. I have a disease that, when I first got it, came with debilitating nausea that prevented me from eating and sleeping and everything. My wife, who is a nurse, and after watching me struggle for nearly 3 weeks, says out of the blue, in the hospital, we will sometimes give the patients a small rubbing alcohol napkin to sniff if they have bad nausea, so we can get them to eat or talk to them. I was like, you waited 3 weeks to tell me this? WTF? So I grabbed a lens cleaning wipe, has alcohol on it, and sniffed. Nearly instantly gained back my ability to put food down, and that helped me get rid of nausea and start my appetite back. Story 54. Hairspray gets ink out of clothes. You can use white toothpaste to fill small holes in walls from nails/tacks/screws. Put some on your finger, smear it in the hole, legit dry, and you can paint right over it. You can use certain toothpaste to fix games CDs that won't play. Put someone work it all around the disc in a circular area, then wipe it off from middle to outside in straight wipes. Everyone remember the Xbox 360 wrecking discs if you moved it when it was on? That's where I learned this one. One of the best fire starters grows on all of our bodies. If you can get a good pile of hair and hit it with a couple sparks, it will ignite, even wet. If you take 2 metal coat hangers like the type you'd use to unlock a card door, take them and bend them into an L shape. Hold one in each hand very loosely with the tips pointing out. Walk around when they spin to face each other, you found a water line. Having trouble rolling a J? Take your paper and where it's already naturally folded, fold the bottom part not with the licky in half again into itself. So you basically make a vertical bar _ vertical bar shape. It will fold under easier. Place tablespoons in a glass of cold water and put them in the freezer. Take them out before they freeze and place the spoons over your eyes to get rid of bags. If you don't know if your batteries are good or not, hold them about 3-4 inches off the floor or something hard and drop them. The battery with the most charge won't bounce as much as it's heavier because its cells haven't been depleted. Rubbing alcohol is one of the best glass cleaners. Tea tree oil is a natural, cheap, and easy way to prevent lice or any head bugs. Throw a few drops in your shampoo when you shower. The bugs hate it. Put a little garlic in your dog's food. Fleas hate the smell. Vicks Vapor Rub is good for fly bite, muscle aches, a headache to liver, and if you have a nasty cough, smear it on your feet and put socks on before bed. You won't cough as much in your sleep. I'll think of more, I'm sure, but there's quite a few I like. Story 55. I was being horribly bullied at school. A teacher told me to kill them with kindness because it's hard to be a dick to the nice person. The next day was my birthday, and I took in chocolate to share. Obviously, the expectation would have been that I didn't offer one to the making my life hell. I offered her some. She was so taken aback. She didn't become my best friend or anything, but from that point on, she laid off me. This won't work on everyone, obviously, but it worked for me, and I've carried it through my life since, and found that being nice to difficult people makes it harder for them to be pricks. Because even if they're still pricks, deep down they know that being a penis to a harmless, nice, kind person is a thing to do and likely makes them feel like. No one wants to be the person who kicks the puppy. Also, side bonus is that everyone thinks I'm nicer than I probably am, lol. Story 56. Make some sort of clicking noise or have a ritual when you turn the stove off. That way, if you leave your house, you'll never wonder if you turned your stove off because you'll be able to remember if you clicked. I remember I would leave my house and even turn around sometimes because I couldn't remember if I turned the stove off. It always was off. I just couldn't remember if I turned it off because I was just rushing and doing the motions. I started doing this and it works. Tap on a table, click, whatever. Story 57. If you need to learn a lot of stuff in a short amount of time with little time to spare in your day, fret not. Write cheat sheets. Summarize the stuff you need to learn in bullet point lists on one sheet of paper. Fold it to fit in your pocket. Then whenever you're free, say a short commute in a tram, take it out, skim over it for a couple minutes, go about your day. This caused me to write as effortlessly in college when I needed to be in class 40 hours a week with my home time being filled with assignments. I skimmed the cheat sheet during my 2 daily 10-minute train rides, and that was it. No hour-long cramming session needed. You'll learn a lot by summarizing, a lot by skimming it often, and also by actually organizing it on the folds. I got really creative with some of it. Some was upside down, even so the folds would work better. Story 58. Maybe too obvious, but workout. It's literally life-changing. It does wonders for your health, state of mind, daily energy, forms good habits, changes how people look at you, boosts confidence, helps with sleep. You don't have to go crazy. And if you're really overweight, unfit, start slow. But it's the single best thing you can do for your life starting right now. Resources and options are plenty. Just do it. Also, if you're into lifting, get a basic home gym setup. I bought a basic bench rack, barbell plus weights and floor mats 8 years ago. It's an investment of maybe 250 to 300 euro at first, which you can expand later. You don't need gym-level gear, and that iron steel can last you a lifetime. Story 59, zip ties. There are so many things that can be solved with a zip tie. Zipper keeps falling, and it's A to rescue. Zip tie it to your button. Need to reseal a product that doesn't provide a resealable seal? Zip-tie. Need to carry multiple OB jacks? Zip-tie them together. Plus, you can use a knife or a similar object to lift the locking mechanism and undo the zip tie to remove it, so you can use it again in the future. Story 60. You can wash your hands with just about any kind of soap, from dish soap to shampoo to laundry detergent. They pretty much all do the same thing, strip away oil. Useful info to have if there's ever a public health crisis that causes people to buy all the hand soap in the store. Don't know if it's really a life hack, and I can't say whether it seems fake either, but the distinction between types of soap is mostly a corporate lie. Source: Father is a chemist. It was his advice this time last year. Story 61. Pay your bills every Sunday morning. Sunday morning is the one time of the week that you can pay over the phone without all your friends texting you and interrupting your bill pay. Also, most religious people are praying, so you have more peaceful time to do bookkeeping and pay who you owe without scam callers calling too. Story 62. Use plain black tea to get rid of sunburns overnight. Literally, take a bag of regular Lipton tea, brew it, and hop in the shower. Let the tea cool a bit first so you don't burn yourself. Use the tea bag to apply it to everywhere you're sunburnt until you've run out, then rinse off. It sounds fake, but when I was in high school and doing band camp, so I was out in the hot sun for 8 hours a day, I did this and was the only one coming out of camp without any sunburns. It turns the sunburn right into tans overnight, no peeling or anything. Story 63. An actual honest-to-God hiccup cure, but I'm afraid I'm too late and it will be buried. Immediately after a hiccup, hold your breath tight and swallow 3 times. Done. It doesn't have to be the very first hiccup. You can give it a go at any point. It gets progressively more difficult to swallow, but the third one is key, so be sure to swallow all the way. I tried doing just 2 because 3 is frankly a bit uncomfortable, but totally doable and worth it. I know. I rolled my eyes when I heard it too. I've heard and tried 100 others. I really only tried because it seemed like such a laughable statement from the very level-headed person who told me to try. This has worked for me on the first try 100% of the time for months now. TLDR, hold your breath and swallow 3x to rid yourself of hiccups. No BS. Story 64. My husband had terrible back pain / sciatica and wanted to try everything he could before going to the doctor. He ordered a teeter, which is an apparatus you strap yourself on, and it tilts you backwards, not completely upside down, just a little over 1/2 way. It really helped to stretch his spine, and he feels so much better. After his 3rd time using it, he felt a little pop, and his pain went away 90%. I only say this because my dad was having so much pain he could barely walk. A few days ago, I had him use our teeter, and damn if he didn't start getting some relief. Story 65. Peppermint oil mixed with a tiny bit of water kills most insects, and all flying ones, including hornets, bees, wasps, yellow jackets, etc. It's like poisonous gas to them and messes up their brain and they die. Been using it for years and kills everything, even spiders and ants. Story 66. If you have an iPhone and feel like you spend too much time on it when you should be focusing on work, school, etc., you can set limits for the hours you can use certain apps. This has been a game changer for me recently. I used to go on apps like Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram every time I got a notification or to reward myself for finishing some task at work and ended up spending way too long scrolling. If you go into settings, screen time, downtime, You can set the days and times you want to limit those apps. It'll block notifications during that time, and you'll get them all at the end of your downtime. The app will also be grayed out during that time. You can access it if you really want to, but you have to click past a message that says, "You set this limit for yourself. Are you sure you want to break it?" It works on me every time, and I put it back down. Never realized how much I reach for my phone throughout the day for just a minute before I started doing this. Story 67. This sounds like bullshit, but if you're somewhere with venomous snakes or other creatures, keep a cattle prod or taser close to hand. If you get bitten or stung, electrocute yourself. I've seen people who stepped on stonefish with legs so swollen the skin looks shiny and about to burst, put up with a couple of shocks, and then be well enough to hobble to the nearest hospital 2 hours away. Neighbor's dog was bitten by a puff adder, and his tongue swelled up and went blue. He was very close to death. Nana electrocuted him, and half an hour later he was up and eating. It seems to work better on certain toxins, so lionfish venom doesn't work quite so well. Obviously, if you can, get to a doctor and have the anti-venom applied. We just lived very far away from any kind of medical services, so my Nana was the closest anyone in the nearby villages had to a nurse. Story 68. This is a little dark and will probably be abused by someone out there, but it may help a little guy. If you have exhausted every defense against a bully, such as walking away or telling superiors that fail to take action, you just need to wait until you're sure nobody is looking. Just give them a little pinch and get in sight for when they retaliate. Let them, and then watch everyone else come to your defense. It will only work once. Story 69. Life-saving tip. If you crash your vehicle into water and it's sinking, let the cab fill with water. If you try and open the door before it fills, the difference in pressure stops you opening the door. Once water is on both sides, you no longer have that force pushing in. You can then open the door freely. Mythbusters not only tested and confirmed it to be true, someone watched the episode and it saved their life. I think it was Adam who mentions it on a Looking Back episode or interview. Story 70. Caffeine disrupts the ability of your brain to focus and remain calm. Also, it can interfere with your sleeping patterns and ability to tell when you are tired. All of these disrupt your mood and make you more prone to less optimal decisions. For at least 3/4, people who do not work terrible hours quitting caffeine will make all decisions they make in their life better and more stable. Stable sleep and clear thinking are some of the best predictors of success outside of family wealth, genetics, delayed gratification learning, mental stability, exercise, and healthy eating. Really, besides exercise and healthy eating, quitting caffeine for better sleep is one of the only things you actually have a chance of controlling. I do recognize some people do need caffeine to function because of genetics or insane work hours, but those who have a choice should try to choose something that will predictably improve their life. Story 71. I read a fact once that if you feel a sneeze incoming and you push your tongue on the roof of your mouth, it will stop the sneeze. I have allergies, and sometimes the smallest amount of anything triggers a sneezing fit. But this actually helps. Not all the time, but maybe 75% of the time I avoiding sneezing, especially these times when you have a mask on sometimes. Story 72. After 30+ days of the successful experiment, I want to share parenting life hack. If you feel your kids are spending too much time on the net and you have to repeat everything 10 times and feel you are losing your mind, give your kids a daily to-do list. I know it sounds funny and strange, but it works. They have twice the energy than adults and 3x more free time but lack focus, especially if the TV is on and net is close by. So helping them focus and attaching some reward at the end worked wonders for my family. Example: brush your teeth, feed the dog, do your homework, call grandparents, go to the park for 2H, pick up the dishes, read for 45 minutes, clean the room, exercise, push-ups, burpee, whatever you feel they need to do. Backstory: I have 3 kids. My wife and I are working a lot, and with the 6 months baby and 2 kids at school, we felt we are losing them to wasting their time. One night, I lost my patience and forbid the use of the net for 30 days. Kids went berserk. I felt kids cannot organize themselves, and my wife was too busy with the baby, food, and side gig. So I made the first list, and it worked. They started the list with an easy task: brush your teeth, and human nature kicked in. They just had to finish the list. They did it by 6 p.m., right about when I finished work, so we took the rest of the day together. After first 10 days, we were all visibly happier. The house was not messy, as kids noticed that if they make less mess, it's less to sort out tomorrow. The arguments were at all-time minimum. We just reminded them twice a day that list exists, and that is it. The school was going great, and we actually had more time to spend with each other doing the stuff we love. I gamified all the lists even more by adding the bonus part, optional part that yields a reward. If they do the list plus bonus, they get a reward: 1 smiley sticker, 3 smileys equals 1 spin of our Wheel of Destiny, but that's another story. Or X minutes of net, or 2 $3. Weekends are off. No lists, just lazy days off. After 30th day, kids asked if we can continue the same way. They loved it. D.